Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Brett McCollum, and I'm here today with Matthew DeVercelly, and today we're going to be talking about property management. Before we do, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 2 to 5x their businesses and allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Matthew, how are you, man?
I'm well. How are you today, Brett?
Man, doing good, dude. Thanks for being here nice and early in the morning for us on a Monday. This is great, man. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a beautiful spring day here in New York. The sun is finally starting to shine after a long, cold winter. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Perfect, man. Well, hey, we're going to jump into this here in a minute, but before we do, let's back up a little bit, catch people up to speed for me, okay? Who is Matthew DeVercelly? Let's get to know you just a little bit.
Sure. First and foremost, father of 2, husband, then real estate investor, property manager, born and raised on Long Island here in New York. I'm about 45 minutes outside of New York City. For those that don't know, Long Island is just basically a big suburb of New York City. And I started real estate investing probably about 7.5, 8 years ago, but before that, just raised in a middle class section of town.
Nice. Yeah. So you're 45 minutes out. Where does that, in the Islip area? Where are you at?
Pretty close, actually. Yeah. Townships on Long Island are kind of how we're classified, like a municipality, basically. So I'm actually in the town of Islip. So yeah, you're pretty close there.
What in the world? I just pulled one right out. You don't even
Yeah.
know. I literally just pulled that out. Like I know something. I don't know anything about it. That was great.
Sometimes you throw darts at the board and you hit the bullseye. So there you go.
I was like, let me think of the one town in the middle of Long Island that I know. So, all right. So before real estate, what was like career-wise? What were you doing?
I was in sales. That's the easiest way to just kind of explain it. I did sales. I started off kind of cold calling, the worst of the worst. So I started off when I was 17 years old, cold calling for a pretty big regional company here on the island, selling heating oil for houses and home security systems. Did fairly well, and then I went to face-to-face sales, and 15 years later, I was running their call centers, their sales teams, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really tough. A lot of turnover. And we were running big departments too. So we had dozens and dozens of salespeople at any given time, managing different teams of salespeople, door knocking teams, cold calling teams, you name it. So sales is really how I got started professionally.
Yeah, I think that's a great entry point to real estate for sure. I mean, sales is my philosophy is we have a sales and marketing business, right? Like that's our business, right? So good on that, man. So you did that for how long did you say? 15 years?
Yeah, I was with that particular job that I was referencing for 15 years, coming up through the ranks from, like I said, cold calling to in-person sales to running their sales teams.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah. Okay. And now so you're married with kids. How old are the kiddos?
My son is about 3.5, and my daughter is about to turn 6 months. So as I like to say, I haven't slept in years now. So.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. We talked a little. Yeah. I've got 4 myself, and man, do I know what that's like. Yeah. It's fun times, man. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's also the best, right? At the same time, it's like, what else am I going to do? Like, this is what I'm meant to do,
and I do try to remind myself in some of the more frustrating times that this will pass and I'm going to miss it. And, the sleepless or restless nights or the toys everywhere, I know I'm going to miss it one day. So I try to slow down and remind myself of that.
Yeah. Listen, everybody tells us, like all of our parents and grandparents, like, you're going to blink and then they're going to be grown. And I'm like, some days I'm like, when? Like, what do you like
tomorrow?
Can we do that? Can we skip I always told my wife, like, I wish we could just birth a 3-year-old, like this whole 6-month-old thing. Like, you can't talk, you can't do anything, and you keep me up all night. Can we just get to the cute part?
Could we play some of these parts on 1.5 speed just to get past it?
Exactly. That's a story of my life. But I mean, at the same time, it's like that baby season, when that's special too. But it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Yeah, no, it is. But as many things in life, sometimes the best things are difficult in the beginning, or you don't know that that it's the best thing for you. Is what do they say? It's an expression. I'm butchering it as I speak, but the right thing and the hardest thing are often the same.
Right. Yeah, I get. Yeah, that's true. All right. Last question on the family side, but I have to. Your son, he's the 3-year-old, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
More mommy's boy or more daddy's boy?
That's daddy's boy. I mean, he is my clone. He looks exactly like me. Where my daughter, who's going to be 6 months, she's really more my wife. So we got each of our clone look-alike. I don't know how much personality a 6-month is really allowed to have yet, but it's shaping up where we each have our own little
starting to look like it. Yeah. My firstborn is my son. He's me. Mm-hmm. And then we are bookend the other on our youngest also. So we have a boy, 2 girls, and then a boy again. And our youngest is also, our boy is he's a mommy's boy though. So we got a daddy's boy and a mommy's boy. This dude, my 2-year-old, is like, he's almost 3 actually. This dude doesn't even. Like, he loves me, but man, I may as well not exist, right? Like, this guy loves his mom, man. But anyway, all right. So you're working at this job, 15 years, you're doing that. What leads you into looking into the real estate space?
At first, I thought I was going to be a stocks guy. I guess even before the stocks, when I was a teenager, I did the whole push the lawnmower through the neighborhood thing to make side cash. Ended up getting my first W-2 job really as soon as I could at 14 or 15 in the neighborhood. So I kind of just knew I had to go to work at some point really early on. I had to make money, raise middle class. Like I said, there was no silver spoon over here. There was no Wall Street, New York City money here. So I knew I had to do something. And I guess at some point I knew, or at some point I figured out that working a day-to-day job was only going to get me so far. Even if you make a really high W-2 salary here on Long Island, it only goes so far. The taxes are high, the property values are high, so I had to do something extra. So when the stocks, I just quickly learned out that's really hit or miss. I think it works well for some people. I just wasn't going to be able to dedicate the amount of time every day to sit in front of a computer and meticulously manage day trading and stuff like that. It would drive me crazy.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I'll never forget the night that I found my first real estate investing video on YouTube, as we all do when we lay awake in bed sometimes, and we go down the rabbit hole on our phone. That first video, I will never forget finding it on real estate investing. I think it was really on house hacking in particular, where you live in your primary, you move to your next one, rent out your first one. I said, I could do that, and I think the numbers work. So that was when the sea parted for me, and that was probably about 8 years ago now. And so while I was in that W-2 job, I said, I'm still going to work this job, but I'm going to start investing in real estate on the side.
Yeah, that's incredible. So do you remember who the video was?
It was Brandon Turner, Bigger Pockets, but
I knew you were going to say that.
But 8 years ago, that was like, I don't want to say the earliest of days, but it was a while back,
No, that honestly, it was revolutionary 8 years ago, and that shouldn't be, glossed over. It's just so funny. It's like, the two common starts I'm hearing from people, it's either Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Bigger Pockets. It's kind of like what I've been hearing a lot lately.
Yeah, and I think that was actually Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I had read that book in the whole stocks phase, in the whole stocks universe, and I was just trying to gobble up everything that I could on entrepreneurial investing and stuff like that. So the Bigger Pockets video was right on the heels of having just read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it was like stars were aligning, and I said, man, real estate. And just to drive that kind of point home, I think that the average person looks at real estate investing as like too lofty or too out of reach. And when you start consuming content of other middle-class people who have done it, it just starts becoming more real and attainable.
Why do you think that might be? That people think like that?
The dollar amount of real estate, like stocks, you could invest $100, even less, or $1,000, or you build it up over time in your 401k. Real estate, they just see the price tag. They just say, here on Long Island anyway, $500,000 house, $600,000 house or more, depending on the neighborhood. It just seems too lofty. It just seems like something that they're, and I guess I'm speaking more from experience than anything too. I don't mean to speak for other people, but I think that was my initial thought, where I said, how am I going to accumulate 4 properties that end up being worth a couple $1 million? I don't have the money. And it's not until you start to educate and learn how other people did it that you say, okay, this is attainable. I could do it. It's not get rich quick by any means. It's a longer path than maybe some would also realize, but it's worth it.
Right. I love that. Yeah. All right. So your real estate it started off part-time, correct?
Yeah. So to kind of drill into that night where I saw the video, it was just my wife and I living in our primary residence that we owned. Tiny little 2-bedroom house that we did own as our primary residence. I mean, it was 800 square feet. It was like a little cottage, basically. But I said, our next goal is going to be to find our next house. And then I went on the hunt to find our next property. And I was going to rent out that primary residence once we found the next property. Yeah. That next property that we ended up finding was actually 2 single-family homes on one lot. So, yeah, that next property has a cottage in the backyard that did need a full gut rehab. And I think that actually was deterring some other buyers because they didn't want to gut rehab a cottage and have renters in their backyard and then live in the main house up front on the street level, which also actually needed some work. So I think a lot of buyers were saying, well, there's 2 houses that need work here. I don't know if I want to be a landlord. But I said, perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So we moved into this second property, and I had the cottage in the backyard, and then I had that old primary that we used to live in. So I had my first 2 rentals.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Wow. How did you get that cottage fixed up? Are you pretty handy? Do you know people?
I'm not handy at all, which is a good thing now. At the time, I felt bad about it, where I couldn't really do a lot of these things myself. But now, having some units under management myself, I'm happy that I don't even know how to do these things, and I just say, "Yep, got to hire a professional, got to hire a plumber." I had a contractor that was referred to me. Kind of just took a shot on him. It was a good vibe. He was I didn't know him from town, but he was or I don't know about born and raised, but he was raised in the same town as me. And he ended up doing a great job on that cottage. And a lot of contractors ask for a draw as they go. I mean, this was like a $20,000 gut job, and he didn't ask for a single dollar until the project was fully completed.
No way.
Yeah, which was interesting. And keep in mind, too, at that time, I had never done a project like that, so I didn't really know that he was giving me a break.
Right.
I was just like, okay, that sounds good. But only now, years later, do I say, hey, he did me a favor just completing everything.
Yeah, that was huge in the beginning for you, man. Yeah.
Yep. And I knew that the cottage had to be the first thing that I renovated before I put money into anywhere else, because bought this second property, got to get that cottage renovated and rented out along with the old primary residence. Get those 2 rentals filled so that way I have the income coming in, and then I can start to put together my new house, my residence.
Sure. And are you still living there now, or?
I do still live there. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You know, I don't know. I commend you for having the far-sighted vision of it all, not the near-sighted vision where it's like, but it's going to take too long. All the things that we tell ourselves. Like, I do wonder is it just how you're wired, or is that something that when you were watching this, it clicked, or when you were reading things, something clicked that is just, or is that who you are?
I am wired that way. I'm a long-term planner. I mean, even as a kid, when I had that first job at 15 years old, I mean, I was a good saver. I saved my money. I mean, I bought my first car in cash when I was 16 or 17. I paid $5,000 cash. It was a terrible vehicle that crapped out on me 9 months later. My grandfather felt so bad for me that I saved up all this money for a clunker that he ended up buying me another car just to replace it. But yeah, it was long-term planning. I've always kind of been that way. And not even just the long-term planning or the foresight to see the future, but I had some people in my circle, whether they were friends or family, telling me, I don't know if this is a good idea, on top of, the struggles and stuff that come with being a landlord. So I had some doubters, in addition to it just being a genuinely, I don't want to say difficult project, but being a project by itself. So yeah, there were some headwinds, but like we said, right, sometimes the harder thing and the right thing are the same thing. So
that's funny. Yeah, I get. All right, so you got your first couple of properties, and now you're more or less off to the races. What happens next?
Yeah, I felt really good. I had some positive finances at that point, in the sense that my net outlay out of pocket to live and to own these 2 properties was only like $500 a month. So I said, this works. Yeah, this works. From there, I said, I need my next property. And this probably brought us up to 2020. And I start looking in Clearwater, Florida, in the Tampa Bay area. And this is obviously before COVID in 2020. But I was just looking at migration patterns into Florida. They were really strong even back then. And I ended up buying, in the same year, 2 duplexes in Clearwater, Florida. And quick funny story about one of them. One of them I had under contract at $340,000, and it did not appraise. It only came in at 320. Challenged the appraisal. Appraiser would not budge. I'm looking at comps in the area myself. My agent's looking at comps in the area, and he's like, I think this property is worth what you're paying, 340. And I said, I know, I think it's worth that too. Seller wouldn't budge, wouldn't come down in price. I ended up bringing a little bit more cash to the table, and my agent actually contributed some of his commission towards the gap as well to close the deal. Great guy, great guy. I will, if I ever buy property in the Tampa Bay area, that's my guy for life.
For life, yeah, that's incredible.
So, long story short, though, we know what happened in Florida over the last few years. So that property that I think, again, some doubters would have said, hey, you're overpaying, bought it for 340. I refinanced that one maybe 6 or 8 months ago, appraised at 550.
All day, yeah.
Now, I should say, too, I mean, that was a little bit of luck. I'm not here saying that I knew it was going to be 550 within 3 or 4 years, but I knew it would go up. It went up more than I thought, and it's probably come back down a little bit now, but that's the inherent nature of real estate, like you do get, especially in Florida, you get a little bit of a boom and bust throughout the last, few decades, but the point was I knew it was worth more than 340.
Sure. Yeah, and you've got renters in there doing their thing on that. So all right, cumulatively, it's been 8 years of, where are you at? Where do you stand today? What are we working
now
on?
After the 8 years, I have 26 units that I own and self-manage. No outside partners, nobody really helping other than, the vendors and my handymen and people like that. So from here, I said to myself, I do a fair job managing these rentals, and I try to stay very compliant. I mean, New York has a book of laws and stuff like that. And, some of them are rightfully so and well pointed. And I would speak to other investors and find out sometimes they're operating on a gray area, let's just say, that I don't want to get into. So I said, I'm managing pretty well. I think I'm doing the name landlord a good service these days, but there's a lot of bad service to the name landlord. Let me start my property management company, which is what I did in the last handful of months. So I'm the owner of Key Renter, Eastern Long Island. It is a franchise, and I'm the first New York office, though, for Key Renter.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that. So what does Key Renter do specifically?
Key Renter, our bread and butter really is residential property management. And when I say residential, specifically single family and duplexes. I own a 12-unit apartment building in my own portfolio, but that comes with its own, I don't want to say headaches, but challenges, right? Sure. Interpersonal issues, shared walls, shared parking lots, and stuff like that. So to manage property for other investors, single-family houses, I don't want to say is easier, but to me it feels easier just because I've dealt with apartment buildings. I have a 12-unit, I have a 5-unit, I have a 4-unit, I have duplexes. So the single family route for me, it's not a heavy lift, let's just say.
Yeah. I love that. Man, that's incredibly cool. I mean, did you think, all right, and you made 8 years ago, whatever it is, laying in there watching, on YouTube, could you have been pictured kind of where you're at today?
I had hoped that I would be at this point, or maybe even further, or maybe even a little bit less. I don't know what the exact number of units was, but no, actually, these last few years in particular have been the best years with the most progress. But I think that really speaks to just kind of plugging yourself into the world of real estate and keeping at it, because I think it is somewhat difficult to get started and figure out your down payment money, or to raise money, or to identify with I'm a real estate investor. Those first few years are a lot of soul searching. Sure. But then once you get to year 4, year 5, and I don't want to make it about the years because everybody's different, has different circumstances, but after a while you start to really get that confidence. I have a couple buddies that only have maybe 2 or 3 units, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, you have 26," and I said, "Man, you own more units than most people ever will in their entire
Right.
life. You're a business owner. That's the way you have to identify it, because that'll give you the confidence to keep going, And same thing for me. I mean, 26 units, when I look at all the people that are plugged into the real estate world, look at Brandon Turner, for example, right? Like I look up to guys like him, or, Ken McElroy and all these huge real estate investors. So 26 units, yeah, it feels good, but there are other people that have spent the last 7 years going way above and beyond what I've done. So,
Right. No, but I mean, it's nothing to slouch at, right? It's something like, man, hearing kind of like, hey, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I didn't do this. And like being able to work towards, that success plan and actually starting to see those dreams fulfilled and, every day, like, and that's not to say there wasn't challenges and there won't be more challenges, but seeing it playing out, it's really cool just from me on the outside of this conversation looking into it. I'm like, yeah, I love to see I'm just a regular guy and I'm working hard and building something, and I think that's pretty special, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And, on a broader point, I think that if somebody has a passion in another industry, whether it's real estate or restaurants, whatever it is, if you give it enough time and enough dedication and effort and honest hard work, you'll be successful. Maybe it takes you 7 years, but these days there's so much opportunity for anybody in any industry who just answers the phone and actually cares about their craft and what they do.
Yeah. You're not wrong there. Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the people that they look at, someday somebody's going to look at Matthew and go, he's an overnight success. I knew him when he was, just a sales guy. I knew him when he was cutting grass, he's just and they don't see the work and the years and the toil and the blood, sweat, and tears that's been put into this. And then, I might be an overnight success, but 20 years in the making, right? Or however long it takes. And I think that's the mindset as the real estate investor that we need to carry is, even if it's 20 or 30 years or 50 years, like, this is worth it and I will continue. Yep. Because it's the people that, albeit it is easy to make a quick buck on a flip or wholesale something and just do something fast money, but that's fleeting typically. It's the person that has the long-sighted vision that knows, because, all right, I'll digress for a second. Have you ever talked to any successful, older, wealthy person?
Sure.
That owns not one of them that I've talked to in real estate has ever said, I wish I would have flipped another house.
Mm-hmm.
Not one. They all say, though, I wish I wouldn't have sold those properties.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm saying that to tell you, man, good on you for having that foresight, even at, you're not super young, but at a younger age, right? So that someday when you are that old guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So what's next for you guys? What's on the horizon? What are you looking at?
Growing a key renter, Eastern Long Island. That's the office that I just opened here where I sit now. Still going to continue to grow my own portfolio, but I feel that the two things are going to work very well together. I feel that I have the credibility where another investor who might not even know yet that they're becoming an investor. The reason I say that is because sometimes you have accidental landlords.
Sure.
I have a site walk on Wednesday with a potential client here on Long Island where they are going through the same exact transition as to how I started in real estate. They bought a larger, better second house now, and they're going to rent out the first one. They didn't know if they were going to sell it. They looked at the wealth advantages of holding on to real estate. And one sort of actionable or very relevant pivot point that I gave them, though, where I felt like this wasn't just a sales pitch, although, yes, I'm selling. I have a sales background and I want to manage their property for them. But it's the truth is that, they were very hung up on what are we going to rent it for per month? What are we going to get per month less their mortgage, taxes, insurance? Of course, that's very, very relevant. But I said, I'm just telling you from experience, where you actually make the most money is the long vision, holding real estate, own this house for the next 3, 6, 9 years. The cash flow is great every single month, but let's relate it to like a stock. The cash flow is actually like your dividend, right? Dividend is great, but as the property appreciates in value over time, that's like the stock going up. That's where you actually make most of your money. I said, so we're going to get the cash flow. We're going to make sure that we get it. But as you continue to hold this property, let's just say another 3 to 5 years, it's going to appreciate, let's just say $40,000 or $50,000. Your debt is being paid down by the tenant, the tax advantages, everything like that. I said it's a more holistic view of your investment. And I could tell in that moment when I said that, they said, never really thought of it that way. I said, that's my experience, and I'm just trying to give that to you, whether you hire me as your property manager or not. That's just free information.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I think that's huge. Like you have that relevant experience in today's market, not just, the coach that was successful, 30 years ago, and they're telling you the same worn out, tactics, relevant experience is a big deal today. Right. So, man, that's super cool. Well, if people wanted to reach out to you at some point, connect with you, get to know you a little bit better, what's the best way for that to happen?
I am on Instagram at MT DeVercelly, which is my personal Instagram, or my property management business is Key Renter Eastern Long Island, which is also the Instagram handle as well.
Dude, that's it. And we're going to make sure we get that in the show notes, and if you're in the listening audience and you're in that area, or you've got property in that area, or you're thinking about getting property in that area, anything of the like, reach out to Matthew. He's going to be a wealth of knowledge for you. I can assure you of that. And and follow along the journey, because I have to imagine the content you're producing anyway is going to have a lot of value there too. So, man, thanks for being here with us, Matthew. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Well, guys, like I said, thanks for being here. We appreciate you hanging out with us, spending time, and we will see each of you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.